Okay, so in the last class, what we discussed was this nodal analysis. So in nodal analysis, we saw that once we apply KCL in specific node points, like here we have a node point 1, then we have node point 2, node point 3, and node point 4. So for applying KCL in all these node points, we get to know that somewhere down the line we can solve this by using this type of matrix computation, and this matrix computation consists of various matrices. So here the first matrix that we have is the conductance matrix, and there is a pattern in this conductance matrix which I told you last time, and the pattern is like if you go through the diagonal of this conductance matrix, then you will observe that the diagonal contains the sum of the resistances which are connected to a specific node. So as you can recall, like for this particular node here, if I focus on this node 1, then we observed that this conductance matrix, the diagonal first element of this matrix 1 1 has summation of the resistances in particular for this node 1, and similarly you can see for node 2 and node 3, and the off diagonal elements were having the resistances which are common to the node 1 and node 2, or node 1 and node 3, depending upon which index in the matrix you are looking for. So here, for example, this particular one is G2, because in between node 1 and node 2, as this particular index is 1 2, which clearly states that you have to find the resistance in between 1 and 2. So that one is G2, and you have to write it with negative sign. For this one, you already know that there is no common resistance between 1 and 3. So it is represented by 0. And similarly, you can also observe in this conductance matrix that it's a symmetric matrix, because the elements on the off diagonal are having same values, like this one and this one, and then you have this one and this one. So this is one of the properties of this conductance matrix. But this property will change as we go along, and we will try to include some current controlled sources here. So we will observe it today, that how that will happen. Just a second.
Well, and if an exam questions come, so we have to use this method only, or we can use any method for solving the circuit.
See, right now, as it's a online thing, so it's difficult to even. But until unless I am giving you options like this in your exam, then only you can do it. But otherwise, you are free to do it.
Okay, sir.
But
Thank
as
you.
far as if it's a, like for example, if next year you people are on campus, and if we will be teaching you offline, then you have to show it through this. Okay, but in case if you have multiple options where you have matrix given as one of the options, then you have to solve it through the method which I was
No,
telling.
sir. But it means in if we offline and if subjective paper comes
Yes,
and
yes.
if you give the question, so we have to do the question from KCL method only. We cannot do it from other methods.
Yeah, once I tell you that if it has to be solved through nodal, or it has to be solved with the other ones like mesh analysis, then you have to solve it by that method only. You cannot solve it by other methods. So
If it is not in question, then we can
yeah,
solve
yeah,
by any.
then it can be done by any of your choices.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this conductance matrix is there, and then you have this particular vector, one-dimensional vector, which has a list of unknown variables, and then you have this particular vector which is after the equal sign. This is basically all the actual voltages and the current sources which are delivering power to the circuit. So all these current sources as well as the voltage sources will be on the right side. And then we discussed that we can write it in the form of this matrix format, where capital G is the conductance matrix, and then V is the one dimensional vector, and then I is also a one dimensional vector. From here you can calculate V as G inverse E, and this is basically simple multiplication of G inverse with I, and what you get is as the answer the voltages at different nodes, like this one. So in this way, this method is basically used for calculating all the node voltages that you have, for all the node voltages that you have for V1, V2, V3 simultaneously. But in case if you want to calculate a single voltages like V1, V2 or V3, then you can go for Cramer rules, in which calculate V1 as delta 1 divided by delta, then you have voltage V2 as delta 2 divided by delta, and V3 is delta 3 divided by delta. So what is this delta? This delta is nothing but it's a determinant of the conductance matrix. So this delta is nothing but it's a determinant of the conductance matrix. This is the determinant of the conductance matrix. What about this delta 1? So if you want to calculate specifically this V1, then this V1 can be calculated by delta 1 divided by delta. So delta 1 is again the determinant, but now what you have to do, you have to put this value of I, this vector actually, in the first location of the determinant. So this thing and this thing will be there, but this will be replaced by this particular unknown, this particular vector here, it will be replaced this side. So exactly what it will be giving you is IA, 0, IB, and then you have all the other elements of this matrix. So I'm not repeating it this side, but let me see if I can copy this here. So once you do that, you will get, so you will put these here, this side. So I hope you all get the point that in order to calculate delta 1, so you will put these values of the vector in the first column, and the rest of the column of the determinant will remain same. So that will, and then you have to calculate the determinant of this matrix. That value is delta 1, and then you divide it by the determinant of the conductance matrix, which is delta. So you will get a specific value of V1. And similarly for V2, if you want to calculate delta 2, then what you have to do, you have to actually put this vector in the middle. Whereas this earlier whatever value was there in the conductance matrix, it will remain same, but the second column will be replaced by this one. So then what you will get is another matrix, and for that you have to calculate the determinant, which is delta 2, and then you divide it by delta. So that will give you V2. Similarly for V3. So this basically is the Cramer's rule, where if you want to find out the specific value of the node voltage rather than calculating the all node voltages at the same time by using this, you can use Cramer's rule to calculate the specific values. Any questions here with this?
Sir, here if we want to find V1, then we have to divide. Sir, means del 1's determinant value we will taking, or
Yes, it is, the determinant value will be there in this.
okay,
So
sir.
delta 1, I hope everyone knows how to calculate delta 1, delta 2, delta 3.
Yes, sir.
Right. So then you have to calculate the determinants of all these different matrices, and then you divide it, and you will get a specific value of V1, V2, and V3. And
Okay,
once
sir.
you have a specific, then your specific currents can be calculated. Okay. So just a second. Okay. So let us do some variations here, just to make you understand like what different kind of conductances matrix you can get. So let me move to lecture 7 now. So let me draw the thing again. So am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Yes.
So let me draw the current source. So this we have already seen. So let us do some experiments here in this circuit and see what difference we can get once we change the circuit. Actually, that's what I am trying to do it now. So here we have I3, then you have I1 here, and then we have R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. Okay, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. And let me write the conductance matrix also, so that we can just compare like what modifications we will get. So the conductance matrix is so this is your conductance matrix for this particular circuit. So let us see if I change something here, how this conductance matrix will change. So let us say if I apply a resistance here, like in case if you have a different circuit where you have a resistance, let us say Rx. So what will be the change that you will observe here? Can anyone tell?
सर जीरो है उसकी जगह
zero की
माइनस
जगह
आर
RX आ
माइनस
गया।
जीएक्स
Yeah, there will be minus.
Zero
Just
की
a
जगह
second, just a second. So anyone like it's difficult to keep track on online, but what I feel is like, you know, if you have a resistance Rx which you are keeping it on the top side, then this will create a additional resistance here, or just let me know which element, like which element of the matrix.
There will be
1, 3,
1 3
and 3,
वन
1.
थ्री एंड
1,
थ्री
3.
one three and one one.
Right. So it will be, it will change this.
It will add it on one side is also C1 plus C2 plus RX.
Also in
It will add here also.
yes.
3 side also.
Right. So once you have this Rx, then everybody will agree that it will add up in the it will be adding up here, and it will add up here also, right? Because these diagonal elements will be summed up, right, for these nodes, and then it will add one more point also. You know, there will be one more location where it will be
सर
added.
वन थ्री
Yes.
Three
R1,
one.
3 and
Yes.
R3.
1 3 3 1 1
And
3
1,
3
3
1.
and 3, 1.
so will that be a negative or a positive?
नेगेटिव सर
Negative.
Right. So
Negative.
it will add here also.
Negative.
It will add this side also. Good. So I hope you get this point. So now let us say, let me put an additional constraint here. So now if we have a current source like this, let us put it as I dash and put it here. So what this will create? Will this create any changes or not? So right now we have I1, 0, I3. So what changes it will make?
Sir, I1 minus I dash.
Okay. And
I dash in second. 0 plus I dash.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is the change that you will observe once you put you know, insert a current source in between the node 1 and node 2, because you can recall that, you know, this I dash, this I1 was coming because you were assuming here the current was injected into the node. That's why you had I1 here as a positive one. But now you can see there is an actual current source which is coming out of the node. So this out of the node is minus I dash, because both of them are originating from this node. So you will have I1 minus I dash. But another at this node 2, there is no current source earlier, so you had 0 there. But now you have a I dash injected into node 2, so it's plus I dash. But for node 3, there is only one current source which is I3, so there is no change here, so it will remain the same. But in case if you have a current source like this, let us say, also I double dash, then what will happen?
Sir, we will do
फर्स्ट
I1 plus
I1 minus I dash
I double
double dash
And
So it
for
will,
third node,
I dash plus
and third
I
node
double
it
dash.
will be I
right,
I3 plus
good. So
I
now I
double
think Now I think you are pretty comfortable with solving these type of questions where you will have variations. So I have given you few variations here. Let us explore few more variations so that you will become more
Sir,
comfortable. Yeah, please.
sir, in the conductance matrix,
Yes.
like V, it is G5 plus G4 plus GX, or the entire is replaced by GX.
No, no, G5
In
plus G4 plus GX once we include this matter, this one, because at
हाँ, but
node 3, at node 3 you have to sum up all the resistances, right, connected to it,
yes, okay, हाँ, right.
right? So that's
Sir,
why it
and
is
that
GX.
corner minus
Yes,
GX minus GX.
This one.
Yes, sir.
So what's the question?
Sir, I didn't understood why
Okay.
that minus GX.
See, the thing is, first of all, you have to remember that uh, you have to keep negative sign with all the off diagonal elements. That you have to keep in mind first. The second thing is, if you see this 1 3, the index of this matrix is 1 3. So that means you have to look for node 1 and node 3, and what is the common resistance between that. So if you see here, the common resistance between node 1 and node 3 is this resistance, right? So you have to put that value here. Earlier, this was not there, right? So you were writing it as 0 because there was no resistance. But now the resistance is there, so that is the common resistance. So all the resistances which are there in the off diagonal, they are the common resistances. That's why we are writing GX. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this finishes off with some variation in the nodal analysis where we looked for current sources and the resistances. So it's a very simple case where we have only resistances and current sources. So let's move to some other part where we have some complexity in these nodal analysis. So let us say if you have a circuit like this, I1, then you have R1, here you have R2, R3, R4, same circuit, but what I am doing now is I am, instead of putting a resistance here, I am putting a voltage source like this. Okay, so this is what I am doing right now. So what you will see is, this voltage is inserted in between these two nodes, which is node 1 here and node 2. So once we start writing, for doing this nodal analysis in this circuit is a bit troublesome, because the reason for that is, here you see you have a current going inside this battery and then it's leaving out here. Let us say we assume it like that current is going like this to the right side. But the problem is we do not know what this current is exactly because of the actual nature of this voltage source. So you can recall the characteristics of the current versus voltage characteristics of the ideal voltage source, where you know that it's a vertical line passing through some specific value of V naught, which is the value of this voltage source. And you can see that there is a lot of current. It can be anything. Current can be anything. It can be positive or negative. You cannot specifically pinpoint specifically in the voltage source that this is the current. Like for example, in resistances you have the relationship between the voltage and the current through Ohm's law. But in case of voltage sources and the current sources, you do not have a specific relationship between them. So because of that, we do not know how much current is actually going in this side or this side. So this is actually a troublesome when you are doing a nodal analysis. So in order to solve this problem, what we do is we actually go for the concept of supernodes. Supernode. So what exactly happens in supernode is, as you might recall, that in our earlier lectures I was drawing some Gaussian surfaces, and I told you that we draw a surface, a complex surface, and we did some example also in lecture, I think maybe 5 or something like that, where I drew a a complex Gaussian surface, and then I applied only a KCL on that surface, if you recall, then it was very easy, right? And then we were not caring anything about what's going inside that Gaussian surface, but we were actually focusing on the surface of that Gaussian, and we were saying, okay, the currents going inside that surface and currents leaving outside that surface, if you recall. So I think you are comfortable with that exercise, right? We did last time. Can you
Yes,
recall?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So similarly here,
Yes, sir.
this supernode
Yes, sir.
concept, this supernode concept is again a fancy term, but somewhere down the line, what we will do is we will actually draw a Gaussian surface here. We will draw a Gaussian surface, and then we will, see how many currents are entering into this surface and how many currents are actually leaving this surface like this or entering. So we will sum up across this cloud, across this Gaussian surface. Okay, so let us do that. So what we will do is, we know that this specifically, if I go by this circuit, let me change colors here. So we know that this is a problematic node, because in between node 1 and node 2, this is a voltage source, and we know that we cannot define the currents flowing in between these two nodes. So let's do one thing, let's do a clever trick. Let's make it a Gaussian surface. So what I will do is I will make this as a Gaussian surface. So I made this as a Gaussian surface. Okay, so now what I will do is I will assume this Gaussian surface as a single node. So this 1 and 2 are, though they are different, though they are separated by a voltage source, but implicitly in my mind I will assume that these two nodes are single node, and that single node is a Gaussian node, this one. So if that is the case, then we will apply nodal analysis at this Gaussian node, which is this one. So if I do that, then you already know that current I1 is flowing into this Gaussian node. And we, as per the nodal analysis, we always assume that for other nodes we are trying to, if you recall, we try to say all the currents are leaving, right? So if that is the case, then for node 1, we can write, just a minute. First of all, we will write the leaving currents first. So it is V1 by R1. That is for node 1, because it is at this point of the Gaussian surface. So we will write V1 by R1. Now we will go for other side of the Gaussian surface, and we will see that 2 is attached to this Gaussian surface. So let us write for this node also. So what is the second current that will be leaving the node is V2 by R2. And let me write this node as 3. So what is the third current which is leaving, leaving the surface? That is
E3
V2
minus
minus V3 divided by R3. This is the number of currents which are leaving this Gaussian surface. And the currents which are entering into this Gaussian surface is I1. So now you can see what we have done. We have actually assumed that whatever currents which are going inside this are nullified. So we are not caring about what currents are going inside this, because if the reason for that is, if you assume a current going like this in node 1, then you will see that once you write equations for node 1 and once you write equations for node 2 separately without assuming the Gaussian surface, what will happen is these currents which you will write will actually cancel out, because in one side it is leaving the node and in another side it is entering the node. So basically, if you write nodal analysis for node 1 and if you write nodal analysis for node 2 without assuming a Gaussian surface, what will happen is you will get two equations where this current will be having a plus sign for this node and negative sign for this node. And if you try to add the two, you will get this equation. Try this out as your home assignment. You can do that. You write nodal analysis here, and then you add the two. This current will cancel out, which is inside the Gaussian surface. So that's why we do not care what's going inside this Gaussian surface, because we know that once it leaves the surface and once it's entering the surface, inside all this will be cancelled out. So yes.
Sir, one doubt is there, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we use the conductance matrix only to solve this sum?
We can use, but the problem is I want to show you that how this conductance matrix will change, because you cannot generalize that, because in earlier case if you get something
Sir,
like
we
this,
can use,
you
sir,
are able to
VA,
generalize, right?
sir, VA minus V we can do no.
What VA minus VB?
Sir, here, sir, in above, see, sir, this V naught. Sir, V1 minus V naught.
So like he is telling that we will take V1 as V1 and V2 as a V1 plus V0.
Yes,
V2
sir.
equals to.
Like, yeah.
The thing is, we will use that relation now. We will use that relation now. But the thing is, you have to, somewhere down the line, this is a problem. You cannot write nodal currents here. If you write for nodal analysis, you do not know what current is actually flowing in this. You cannot calculate that. Because
Okay, sir.
though you can write V1 here as, you write V1 here and then this is V1 plus V0. This relation we will be using now in the next equation. But the problem is if you write nodal analysis at this node, this current which you will write, you do not know what that value is. In earlier cases, we knew that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So once you write V1 and V2 separately, in case if you want to do it, you can do it. And then once you add the two equations, then you will get this. So somewhere down the line, we are actually cancelling down the internal currents which are going in this Gaussian surface, whatever that be. So now once you have this equation, so you see there are three unknowns, 1, 2, 3, right? But what happened now is I told you clubbed this node 1 and node 2 equations, and once you clubbed them two together using the supernode concept, you get only one equation. And there will be one equation for node 3. Like that, what that will be? It will be V3 1 R3 plus 1 over R4. And then you have minus V2 by R3, and then it's equal to I3. This is the nodal analysis equation for node 3. But you have three unknowns, right? V1, V2 and V3, and you have only two equations. So how to solve this? Can anyone tell me what will be the third equation?
V2 minus
V1.
V1?
V1 minus
V2
V2
equals
V1
plus V0.
Yes, right, good. So it will be V1 minus V0 is equal to V2 will be the third equation which we obtained by this relation here. Because you can see if you write V1 minus V0, you will get V2. So this is basically the third equation that you will obtain once you write this equation. So you have, this equation you obtained through supernode. This equation you obtained through normal nodal analysis which we are doing from our earlier lecture, and this is the simplest relation that you have in between the two nodes V1 and V2 which are which are defined, the relation between these two is defined using this V0 battery which is in between the two nodes. So once you have these three equations and you have three unknowns, you can easily solve your answer, and you are free to find the conductance matrix. If you find the conductance matrix here, then you will see there will be a +1 and -1 also. You have to calculate yourself. It will be +1 or -1, something like this will be there. Because from here, if you recall, it will be V1 minus V2 equal to V0, and V0 is the independent voltage source which will be on the right side of this matrix. I do not know the exact location. I am just giving you the rough idea. You have to calculate yourself. So here you have V1, V2, V3 as the nodes. So it will be V1, and somewhere down the line you will have -1 also. So now I am trying to show you that once you keep this voltage source in between the two, the property of the conductance matrix is changed, because earlier you do not have any -1 or +1 in the conductance matrices, but now you will have -1 and 1 entry also, because as you can see here, the third equation has V1 and minus V2, so you have to fill in accordingly where it will be. I'm just putting it down randomly. I do not know where it will happen. So I hope you get this idea that the conductance matrix changes severely once you insert a node in between, and it will not remain the same as it was in this case where we generalized our conductance matrix depending upon the variation in the current sources if we are putting here or there or somewhere else. So any questions here? So I hope you got this idea of what I was trying to say. So let us solve one simple question on this super node so that you people will be you will get comfortable with what I am trying to tell you here. So let me draw one circuit here. So let us say this is 0.5, this is Siemens, okay, it's not
Sir.
ohms. Yes, please.
Sir, Gaussian node and super node is one and the same thing?
Yes, actually somewhere down the line it's a fancy term that people use, but we can replace it by Gaussian surface also. We can say, yeah, it's a Gaussian surface, but supernode, so both of them can be used interchangeably.
Sir, and when can we when it can be used? Like
I'm giving you that simple case here. Okay, so the first case where you can use it is this one, as I told you here, because you have a simple voltage battery connected between the two. This is the first situation where it can happen. And the second situation where it can happen is like, let me show you that also. Like if you have a circuit like this, there is a voltage source like this, and then again you have a voltage source like this. So in this situation also, you can see here you have V0 and V1, let us say, the voltage sources. Here also you can see now the situation is that you have a voltage source in between these two nodes, and then you have a voltage source in between these two nodes. Okay, so same thing is replicated. So now instead of having two Gaussian surfaces like this and solving it, it's better to actually draw a Gaussian surface like this, which encompasses all the three nodes into one. So this is another way of doing it. Like as the complexity arises, and if you see there are some voltage sources directly connected in between the two nodes, then you can actually form a Gaussian surface like this. And now this is the Gaussian surface which includes three nodes and not two nodes. And then you have to write a single equation for this, because as you can recall that for this Gaussian surface you can only write one equation, but now because you have three nodes you need three equations. So first equation will come through this Gaussian surface, and the second equation will come from relating V1 and V2 by V0, that will be the second equation, and the third equation will be relating V2 and V3 by V1. Okay, so your V1 minus V0 equal to V2 is the second equation, and V2 plus V1 equal to V3 will be your third equation, and the first equation you will get through this Gaussian surface by writing nodal for that. Okay, so if you find something like this, you have to write a nodal analysis for it. So let me give you this example which I was trying to show you here, which will actually clear some of your doubts. I hope this point is clear to all of you, which I have written over here. Are there any
Yes.
questions for this?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
No, sir.
Okay, so let me draw this question here first, because I wanted to explore all the possibilities for nodal analysis. Then only we will move to mesh analysis. So this is, let us say we have minus 3 amperes, then you have 0.2 Siemens here, and then we have 440 volts this side, and 0.25. So let us say we have this circuit. So by intuition also you can assume that the number of nodes which are connected to this node is maximum. So let us assume this as ground. So this is like there is no specific rule for that you have to assume this as a ground, but still most of the connections which are there to a particular node, we assume that as ground, just to have a simplicity in the complex in the analysis. So what we are doing, we are actually assuming this as the ground. Okay, so now how many nodes are there? This is one node. Okay, this is node 1, this is your node 2, this is your node 3, and there will be this is also same as node 3, because I hope you all understand that this is a short wire, and I explained you earlier also that voltage will be same throughout this short wire. So all of it will have voltage 3 at all these points. Okay, so so as you can see here, you can clearly observe that you will create a mesh analysis, super node. This is a super node situation because you have a voltage source directly connected in between 2 and 3. Everybody agrees with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let us create a super node here. So if you create a super node here, then if you want to write the node points for this super node, so I will write it down. So let me know in case if you find trouble in understanding it. So this will be the current which is leaving this super node. Everybody will agree with this. This is the current which is leaving this super node. This is the current which is leaving the super node. And this is the current which is leaving the super node, which is exactly not this. You can say this is the one which is actually leaving the super node, because here we can say it's a node 3. And this is the current which is actually entering the super node 3. So if we write this KCL here for the super node, it will be V2 into 0.05, because it's a Siemens, right? So it's instead of ohms, it will be Siemens, right? So this is V2 V2 into 0.05. Then you have 0.15 into V2 minus V1. Then we have V3 into 0.25, and then we have V3 minus V1 into 0.2, and then that is equal to current which is entering the node. So it's 25 amperes. So how many of you agree with this?
Sir, a -3.
Sir,
Yeah,
plus
minus
3
minus
ampere.
Right.
Plus 3.
So it will be plus
25
3.
plus 3.
Good. So I forgot this one. So this is also there, right? So it's -3. It's leaving, but it will be plus 3 here. So this is the first equation that you will write, keeping this as the super node. The second equation will be V2 plus 440 equal to V3. This is the second equation which you will get by simply writing KVL around this and trying to find out a relation between V2 and V3 by using this 440 volt symbol. And the third one is easy, right? Yeah, please.
Sir, V3 minus V1 into 0.25 or 2 only?
V3 minus, where you are right? This one you are saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 25. Yeah, it will be 25 here. So just feel that, instead of solving, but just keep in mind that the concept should be clear. So here, yeah, you are right. It's 0.25. But if you understand the concept, I think you can do that. Okay. So
it's phi or S?
0.25 S.
So it will be V3 minus V1 into 0.2.
V3 minus V1.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, it is 0.2s.
Yeah,
Sir,
0.2S.
you have written 0.2s and you
Yeah, it will be
misunderstood
0.2s.
that it is 0.2.
Yeah, 0.2, yeah. Yeah, this S is actually looking like 5, so that's why it's creating a confusion. So, but I hope you all understand that this is actually inverse of ohm, so that's why I was writing it here, but it is 0.2. Okay, so
Sir, the resistance should be divide or multiply here.
no, this is Siemens, right? Which is actually inverse of ohms, right? Because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm writing this. This is a conductance which is already given to you in the question. So that's why it's 0.05. Okay.
So it's already inverse.
Yes, it's already given as inverse. And for node 1, what will be the equations? Node 1 will have V1 minus V2 into 0.15, and then you have what? Current entering into the node. First of all, leaving the node will be this one is the first one. Then the second one will be V2 minus V3 times 0.2, and then we have a current entering, which is minus 3
Sir,
minus 8.
Sir,
Yes.
so initially we assumed at node 3 that the current is entering. So in V1 also it would be same direction.
No. See, once we started this concept of nodal analysis, you recall that we were assuming that all the unknown currents which we do not know are leaving the node. Then only we derived that conductance matrix. You have to go back to that lecture and see that, because we derived this conductance matrix on the assumption that whichever node you are looking at, you have to assume that the currents are leaving that node. Okay, for this node we will assume it is leaving, for this node also we will assume it's leaving. It's not that once you defined it like this, it will always be coming here as an incoming one. You do not do like that. In the derivations we assumed in that way. So you can go back and see lecture 6 on that, then you will, this doubt will be cleared. Okay.
Sir, can you again explain the last equation?
This one, this is simply like you have a current entering the node, okay, and this is the current also entering the node. So these two current sources, which is -3 and -8, will be added together and it will be on the right side, and the current leaving the node is this one, which is V1 minus V2 into 0.15, and then you have a current leaving this node like this. Okay, so that one is the V2 minus V3 into 0.2. So you are just equating them. So you are applying.
सर वो V1 minus V3 नहीं होगा?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is V1 minus V3. So it is leaving the node here, right? So this is the one. So these two will be equal to the current entering the nodes. Okay, so in this way you can actually go for solving the super node concept. And the important thing that you have to keep in mind is that the simplistic case which I started out with this nodal analysis, where we had only current sources and resistances, in that situation you will have a very simplified conductance matrix, and you can generalize that by observing the circuit. So if there is some change and if you see that some currents or resistances are added or removed, then you can easily write the conductance matrix. But if there are some variations in which one of the variations is supernode variation, you can see that the conductance matrix is changed and the symmetric property of that conductance matrix is also changed. So because now you will have some elements of 1 and -1, which I was showing you earlier. So you can see that the elements are changing for the conductance matrix. So let us see one more example, and then we will go further down this by taking some more examples of it to show you that how conductance matrix changes if you use dependent current sources. So now we will do nodal analysis with dependent current sources, which we already discussed in our earlier class. So let's take the first case where you have voltage controlled current source. This is the first case where you have voltage controlled current source, where you apply voltage somewhere, and then you have a current source controlled by some factor GM, let us say, or a factor K, whatever it may be, but it is controlled by a voltage generated at some other part. So let us try to see how the conductance matrix change here. First of all, if you recall, if you had a simple resistance R and there were two nodes here, right? Let us say this is node 1 and this is node 2. And if you have, and then you have a current flowing in this node 1 in between the nodes. So if you wanted to write the conductance matrices here, then you know that on the vertical axis we had node 1 and node 2, and the horizontal axis actually on the columns, basically you can write that this is V1 and V2, because somewhere down the line you will be multiplying them. So in the conductance matrix, this actually are the number of nodes, and this is number of voltages that you have, the nodal voltages. So here you can see, if you consider only this particular one, right, at this node V1, what you will observe, you will say it will be like this G, because at node 1 you have only R connected, so this diagonal element will have only G, because it's a summation of all the resistances connected to node 1. Because there is only one resistance, so you are writing it as G. For V2 also, if you consider nodal analysis as V2, you will see only resistance R is there. So that's why it will also be G, as simple as that. But these are the off diagonal elements, and you know that the off diagonal elements will have a negative value. So the common resistance in between node 1 and node 2 is R, so it will be minus G, and here also it will be minus G because it's a symmetric matrix. I hope you know all this, right? This is very simple. Here you can see that the off diagonal elements are minus G and it's a symmetric matrix. But now if you write for this, so you can, you know that this is V1 and this is V2. This is node V3 and this is node V4. So how will you write for this? For this you will write like this. So here you have actually these are the nodes which you can write it as 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are nodes here 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have here V1, V2, V3, V4. Okay. So now the important point is that this is GMVX. So this GMVX can be written as GM times V1 minus V2 because you can see here the voltage Vx is actually controlled by V1 and V2, right or not?
Yes, sir.
So, so what you will do is you will write for node 3 and node 4 the values of V3 and V4. So here you see it will be GM here, then you have minus GM, and GM like this. Will it be or not? Or am I creating any problems here? Like,
Sir, can you explain why it is GM? Yeah.
Please repeat
because
it.
of this factor, right?
We are taking it as a resistance, right?
Yes, we're taking as a resistance. So basically the current leaving here is taken as GM V1 minus V2, right? So here the current leaving at this node is GM V1 minus V2. Okay or not?
Yes, sir.
And here
Yes.
again it will be like that. So basically the matrix will become somewhere like this. So let us try to solve some questions based on this voltage controlled current source. So if you have a current like this.
Sir, I still did not understand that.
Yes, I will explain you through this
GM1
example. Do not worry. This is a bit confusing. I can understand it, but once I'll solve one example based on it, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. So this is the example for this. So here you have R1, then you have here, let us say R2, then you have a controlled current source which I was telling you here. So here you have GM Vx, then you have here R3, then you have here R4, and then you have a current source like this, which is I3. This is I1, let us say. So let us, instead of discussing this, which is a bit confusing, let me try to explain you through this particular circuit which is here. So here everybody will agree. Okay, so one more thing that I missed out here, because it's a control source, right? So you have to write a voltage source Vx like this, because based on this difference, this current source is changing. So now will you all agree that these are the three nodes V1, V2, V3? Everybody agrees with this, right? So there will be three nodes.
Yes.
And all of you will agree that this is a very simple situation which we already know, like we know all the resistances and all the current is going in and out. So this is very simple case. You can write nodal analysis for this V1, which we are doing it from so many times. And similarly for this V3 also, it's very simple, right? Because you have a resistance and then you have a resistance this side and a current source. So similar equation which we have already written for node V3 will also be the same here for this circuit and for V1 also. But the only difference now is for V2. So for V2, what you have to do here? Can anyone tell?
We have to assume Gaussian surface including the node 1, node 2.
Why you assume a Gaussian surface here?
So that we can reduce the complexity of this GMVX. controlled source.
Okay. So, but I think there is no need of Gaussian surface here, because somewhere down the line it's like a current source, like the current source that you already have, right?
Yes.
So what's the
Sir,
point
for
of
R2 we will take V1 minus V2 for GM into V1 minus V2, and for R3 we will take V2 minus V3.
See, for V2 it's very simple. You assume that this is like a current source like this.
Current source.
So if that is the case, then this is leaving the node. So then you can write it as GMVX, right? And this is the one which you are already assuming for node 2 also. So it will be V2 minus V1 times G2. And then you can write for node V2 another equation, which is V2 minus V3 times G3 equal to 0. Right or not? So it's very simple. Here, because it's a current source and you already know the value of this current source. Earlier, the voltage source, we do not know what exactly the current is flowing. That's why we were writing supernode there. But here we already know the value, and that value is GMVX, and Vx is the voltage which is generated at this point. So here you can write this equation easily. But now the problem is that we do not know Vx. So we can write Vx as very simple, right? It's V2 minus V3 or not?
Yes.
Right? So this is the one. So what you can do now is you can actually substitute this value of V2 minus V3 here in GMVX. So you will get one equation for node 2. For node 1, you already have one equation which you can write easily now. And for node 3 also you have one equation which you can write easily now. So you have three unknowns and three equations, and then you write the conductance matrix. And show me tomorrow, show me in the next class, and let me know whether it's a symmetric matrix or not. I will ask you that question. So once you write that matrix, and then you will find out that it's not symmetric at all. That is what I am trying to actually point it out here. So you calculate a symmetric matrix for this and see whether it will come out to be symmetric or not. Conductance matrix, sorry. Calculate the conductance matrix and check whether it's symmetric or not. So it's like a small question for you that we will discuss in the next class. Any questions here?
So can you explain this once
Okay.
again?
So for
This
node,
one, and why did not we assume a Gaussian surface? Because this was a kind of a
no,
when we
see,
had a voltage. Why did we?
yeah. So it's not a voltage here, first of all. Please note, it's a current source. Okay. So it's like a same thing like this, but the only difference is that it's a constant current source here, which is I1, and here it's a dependent current source. So that's why we do not assume Gaussian surface here, because you already know what current is flowing inside. Okay. In the case of voltage source connected to a node, we do not know what exactly this current is, because as I showed you the characteristics of IV, we do not know how much it's flowing. But here in the current source, you already know it's GMVX, right? So that's why we wrote simply like this. Okay. Are you able to get the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with this, we finish off this class today. I think it's up to 9:35, right? The class?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's already past 5. So, is it till 9:45?
Is it till 9:45? Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was thinking like it's up to 9:30. Okay, so we are still down there.
So give one more example.
Okay, so I hope this clears that out, right? So this is
Yes.
this is basically the question which actually deals with voltage controlled current sources connected like this. So you can solve the things now. So let us see one more variation. Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, is the Vx given in the question?
Yes, it will be given, because this is the dependent source, right? So the dependency of this is on Vx, and it will be defined that where that Vx is. Okay, but keep that in mind. As I was discussing in our earlier question also, if you can recall that the polarities of this are important. So once this polarity changes based on the calculation, the current direction will also change, which I discussed in our last lectures. So keep that in mind. So now the second,
Sir,
yes,
sir, could you tell about that factor of 1 which was there in the conductance matrix?
factor of 1, where it is?
Sir, that voltage one, where
Which
we
page?
introduced the voltage source above.
Here you are saying? Which page?
Sir, above.
Okay.
So that conductor you, that
Oh,
page.
this one?
Huh. That
Actually,
one,
this one is coming because of the relation that you have written here. You see here, it's V1 minus V0 equal to V2, right? And you know that once we write the conductance matrices, we write G, and then this is the vector V1, V2, all unknowns, and this is the independent current sources I1 and I2, right? So, so what happens is if you write this relation here, V1 minus V0 equal to V2, then you know this is the known value, right? So we have V1 minus V2 equal to V0. So you have to write this in matrix form. So once you write this in matrix form, the index of V1 is 1 and index of V2 is minus 1. So this 1 and minus 1 will come in this conductance matrix. That is what I was telling. Okay?
Sir, can you explain this again? Why 1 and minus 1?
See, it's very, see, the thing is, you have one equation here, right? This one. So you gather
Yes,
these
sir.
coefficients for V1 and V2. So you will gather these coefficients or not? So you write
Yes, sir.
you write like
sir, got it. Yes.
got it, na? Just a minute. For that student, he is not able to understand. So let me show him. So this is 1 by R1 is the coefficient, 1 by R2 is the coefficient for V2, and 1 by R3 is the coefficient for V3. Similarly, because you have to write one equation yourself, then you see here the coefficient of V1, what is that? 1, right?
1.
And what is the coefficient of V2?
It's minus 1.
So once you write a conductance matrix with V1, V2 and V3, so definitely there will be 1 and minus 1, right? Somewhere. So that 1 and
Yes, sir.
minus 1 is what I was telling. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let us have one more variation here. So you have this, then you have a voltage source which is given like this, and then you have R2, then you have R3, then you have R4, then you have a current source like this. So what will happen now? So will it fall in the supernode category or not? Or
Yes. Gaussian node.
yes. So this is
Sir,
a,
where is variance? Okay, fine. Okay.
because it's a voltage source, right? So it's a dependent voltage source which is based on Vx. So what you have to do now? You have to actually write a super node uh, based on these two nodes. Very simple, right? So same thing as I was doing earlier. That is, you have to write for V1 and V2 a super node, and then you know V1 is related to V2 by this equation.
Minus
This is
variance.
the second equation that you have. Whereas where Vx is nothing but V2 minus V3, because this is the V3 here. V3 is again unknown, right? So Vx is V2 minus V3, so which is this one, and then V1 and V2 are related by this factor. So what you can do, you can put this value of Vx here. So once you have this value of Vx, kept here, then you have all the equations, all the values of V1, V2 and V3 written in single equation. So this will be the first equation. The super node 1 will form a second equation, and the third equation will be from this node V3, which you already know how to calculate. So there will be 3 unknowns and 3 equations, and again you form a conductance matrix for this. Again you write a conductance matrix for this, and you will observe that it's not symmetric, as it was in the case of very first case where we discussed current sources with resistances and things. So
Sir, here where will come this Gaussian surface?
Gaussian surface is this one, right? This one. Because
Okay,
you
sir.
have a voltage source here, right? So it's a dependent voltage source where Vx is controlled by this. So this is the Gaussian surface.
Sir, but we know the value of K and
Can you repeat? Your voice is not clear.
sir, we know the value of K and we know the value of Vx, so it is a non-voltage source.
No,
So why should
you
we
know
need?
the value of K, but you do not know the value of Vx because Vx depends upon the difference of these two potentials.
Yes, sir. Means yes, got it.
Right? So this you substitute here, you will get one equation. This sorry, at this node you already know there is no problem because it's only resistances and current source, and we already have calculated that same equation. And this is the second equation, and the super node one will be the third equation. So three equations, three unknowns. Write the conductance matrix and let me know whether it's symmetric or not in our next class. Similarly for this. So what we have observed is that if you find a circuit having current sources and the resistances, and if you are solving through nodal analysis, then you will have no problem. So then you will have symmetric properties and you can easily do all this type of analysis which we were discussing in our very first lecture. Oh, sorry, first slide. This one you can do very easily in these type of situations. But once we impose the concept of voltage source connected in between the two node, and then the symmetric property will be completely gone and it will have +1 and -1 type of factors. And the third imposing condition is like if you impose if you write some dependent current sources, if you write or if you insert some dependent current sources in the branches, then also the symmetric property will be destroyed. So you have to check it out, and we will discuss in our next class whether it's true or not, whether the symmetric property is destroyed or not. Okay. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss two more. Let me draw it first here fast so that you can you can calculate yourself, because then I do not want to repeat this and I will start the new topic after that. Let me draw that circuit also. So this is now a circuit with current controlled voltage sources. So instead of KVX, now we will have RIX and this will not be there, and the IX will be this. So this is basically another circuit where you have, instead of voltage controlled voltage source, now it's a current controlled voltage source. So you calculate for this also, like what is the conductance matrix, and the last one will be current controlled current source. So you do it for this variation also. So here you have KIX, and this is not there, and this is also not there, and your IX is this side. So these are the different variations which I have already discussed with you now. So try to find the conductance matrices for all the four and see whether they are symmetric or not. Then you can tell me in the next class. Okay, fine?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, how we will find that they are symmetric or not? Like
that is the symmetric property of the matrix, right? In the off diagonals, the values will be same, right? From the symmetric property of the matrix, you check the mathematical, definition for that. From there, you can easily find out, right? Along other than the diagonal, the off diagonal elements will have a same value, right? Based on that.
So we have to do the same thing, right? Like make a matrix
Yes,
V1,
yes.
V2, V3, and
Yes, yes.
then we have to like add the in diagonal elements. We'll put those
Yes.
addition of
Yes.
resistors and stuff like that.
Yes, yes. You make a G
Sir.
V equal to I and then comment about G. Okay.
Sir, how
So,
can
sir,
we
can now we leave?
Sorry?
how can we check our matrix that
can
will
leave
derive?
now?
Just a second. One time, please. Yeah.
Sir, how to check that
Sir,
the
lecture
matrix is correct or not?
Please, you again speaking, both of you are speaking. So this guy who was speaking at the end, you speak first. Yes. No.
Sir, do I speak?
Yeah, speak.
Sir, how can we check that the derived matrix is correct or not?
How can you check whether the matrix that G you are obtaining is correct or not?
Yes, sir.
How can we verify?
So,
How can we verify?
so there is no verification for that. You have to solve yourself and see whether the answers are coming, because you can get multiple matrices, right? Based on whether you have done it correct or not. Based on whether you have done this nodal analysis properly, then only you can understand whether it's correct or not. The only way, I guess, you can check it is like, the off diagonal elements will contain the sum of the elements connected to that node. That's the only way. And the off diagonal elements will have the common element in between the respective nodes. Only that way you can check. Otherwise, I don't feel that there is no method to tell you that whether this particular G will be the there is some method to verify whether that G is right or not. Because you have to see the circuit as well as the elements of this G. Based on both only you can say that G is correct or not. There is no specific mathematical equation to tell that okay, the G that you got is right and the other one is wrong. It's not like that. The only way it's right is the way you solve it properly or not. Second guy was asking some question. So no questions now? So can we close the class?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, what is Gauss-Jordan method like? You are written in syllabus like from Carmel's rule you will thought Gauss-Jordan method.
First order networks. Can you come again? I cannot listen to you properly.
Sir, you told us Carmer's rule for solving that matrix is.
Yes.
So means what is Gauss-Jordan method? So it is written in syllabus like you will also teach us Gauss-Jordan method.
First order network is somewhere later on. Do not worry about it. Whatever I am teaching here, you keep focus on that first. First order networks is basically the differential equations related to capacitors and inductances and resistances and the time equations of that. So that will be discussed later on. So right now we are in the very initial starts. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay then. Thank you so much for attending the class. So we will meet next time, and just let me know whether you have basically just see the conductance matrix of this and just visualize it and see whether it's symmetric or not. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you.